You're listening to Business in Balance with Nature. This podcast is brought to you by Business Lolland Falster, an organization in the Kingdom of Denmark that is tasked in promoting awareness and growth in a rural region while maintaining its agrarian legacy. A region that is experiencing a high conjuncture thanks to its strategic location in Europe's largest infrastructure project, the Fehmarn Belt Tunnel, connecting Denmark and Germany. These are the stories of how BLF brings life to their vision of bringing business in balance with nature. My name is Chris and I'm your host. Listen in. Season 1 follows a bold and ambitious concept aimed at attracting promising, high potential, and scalable companies into the region. And you'll hear their stories and how they strive to create a business that is both financially sustainable and have a positive impact on the environment. Say hi to Michelle Wettstein from Nature Foods.
Hi Chris, thanks for hosting us. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, great. Can you just tell me a little bit about Nature Foods?
Yes, definitely. So we are a startup focused on plant-based alternatives. So we focus on products that are really nutritious, delicious and tasty and really suitable for people that look for nutritious plant-based alternatives.
How did you get on board Nature Foods and be a part of it?
So last year when I finished my MBA, it was innovation and entrepreneurship. I was looking for an interesting idea that would really drive me with passion and enthusiasm. At that time, I got to know the founder of Nature Foods, Dr. Markus Masin, and it was the time of the year that we started to speak. And also within our conversations, we figured out that the stage the startup was at the moment, it is of great sense to hire me. So last September, I got involved into the startup.
Yeah, but you were able to push products out in the market very quickly from last year to now.
That is true. And also one of the reasons why we started to work together was to establish this initial launch and also to get the first retail traction and the first clients with the product into the market.
So tell me a little bit more of the market that you launched your products in.
So by this spring, we received the opportunity with the first shelf space and the first roughly 220 supermarkets. Due to the COVID, this launch was pretty difficult for us and didn't happen as expected. But at the point we could start to do our work and do the launch, we received some first traction and did some really good results and also had a big really big learning curve of how to adjust and how to improve our business. But so far we can say that we are on the journey and good to go to do the next steps beginning of next year.
What were the biggest learnings for you when you were launching a project in the middle of a pandemic and then things needed to change? So what were those things that changed?
So it really forced us to be flexible on many aspects. So we had new information each and every week also with our business clients. And we were required to switch, let's say, from in-field work that we do on a personal basis to telephone basic switching to more Zoom calls and online conversations, and simply to adjust your business that you can find a way to make it happen at any sacrifice you have to take in at that step.
Yeah, and how did that affect them getting to know about your product?
I think this is really interesting as much as we work on the product and think about it. At some stage, I believe you simply have to launch to get some feedback for especially the factors you maybe can guess to a certain extent, but only really find out about when you launch a product. That can be into the pricing, how is the product perceived, how is the brand perceived, what are people thinking. And this traction, I think, or this feedback you can gather only at the stage when you actually launch into the market. and then take it from there and do the additional adjustments.
And then what was the biggest market feedback that you got? Did you have anything about the taste, not just, considering the price and where they feel that this belongs, which category it belongs?
The category, let's say, is to some extent new, and plant-based beverages made from peas are not yet that known. So now this is a really interesting process that we follow, but also with our retail clients, that we actually try to find out what is the category, how is that category defined, and at the same time now how is the perception of the consumers? Do they see it more as a, let's say, plant-based dairy alternative? Is it more a kind of own pea section, or are we getting even kind of close to then the products that we know are derived from the animals to some extent?
Yeah.
And this is now a process we're also in.
So how did you come up with peas as a raw material for this product?
That is a really good question, and it is also mainly based on the founder of Nature Foods, Professor Dr. Mosin, that has a vast experience into medical treatment of patients affected by malnutrition and other nutritional diseases. And during his career, he had so many patients that had these diseases, and he kind of found out there are some similarities he discovered, which then were based on the fact that few of them or a couple of them followed a vegan or vegetarian diet, and always showcased a similar picture of what was missing into their diet, or what has led to these diseases. So he started to think, how can I create something different or new that is able or capable to supply all these essential nutrients and macro and micro ingredients, and then discovered the pea as a source that is really highly digestible and is also really consumable, in a sense that there is not really allergens, so everyone in Europe should then be able to consume such a product.
Yeah, peas is not an unknown legume. It is well known in Europe. We use it every day, but I don't think a lot of us see it as something that we can drink. So how did he develop the idea that this should be a drinkable product?
That is true, and peas are a well-known legume in Europe. It's growing here since roughly 20,000 years. We know it since ever, but it is not yet common to use this vegetable into a drink or another consumable. But for Professor Mosin, it was important that he also could find a way that is makes it for us really easy to get the nutrients in. And also that kind of is now for nowadays lifestyle, which is really fast-paced. We don't always have so much time. So he kind of tried to identify, how can I make a product that is healthy, but at the same time is really easy to consume.
Right.
And I also think when you have it in a liquid drink, either you take it in the morning or in the day or in the evening, it is really easy.
Yeah. Can you then describe this beverage? Is it more milk or juice? What is it?
We get asked that question really often, and we always like to answer, please give it a try, because there is always this big curiosity. But we have it in a 1 liter Tetra Pak, and when you would open that and pour it into a glass, it is like white, creamy. It has a nice consistency that is really rich, and when you would look at the product, you can ask yourself, is this like similar more to a cow's milk, or is this something plant-based? But yes, it is really nice looking.
By now, people are used to a lot of alternatives to milk. We have oat milk and rice and almond milk. Is this another one of those?
Well, there is a category of different alternatives made from plants, and we also believe this is really good, because this gives a lot of variety and choices to the consumers, what they would like to consume. We kind of followed a slightly different direction with Professor Mosin. For him, it was really important to supply these different type of nutrients that we get, and he also was looking for a source that is really high in protein, that supplies a high amount of protein, at the same time a source that helped him also to make a product that is also really fitting consumers' lifestyle and so on. So we don't believe we are, to that sense, other plant-based or vegetable milk into the shelf. But we identified also that certain consumers are now looking for alternatives that are really creamy and supply the same nutrition as cow's milk, and that is also giving a similar experience, etc., etc. And this is also kind of where then Professor Mosin tried to develop such kind of product that gives this group of consumers also this experience.
From what you're describing, I would have a tendency to think that this is more of a very good alternative to milk, considering the contents of it and the fact there are not many allergens. And as you know, a lot of people actually cannot digest milk. I'm one. I'm lactose intolerant. So you would say that this is a very good option for me instead of cow's milk.
It is right that the product has similarities to cow's milk when you would compare now the protein content or also this product experience. Also there, it was important that for all these people that do not have the opportunity to digest cow's milk, that there is also an option that they can get something similar for them that is supplying at the end of the day the same of what they maybe would wish to have with a cow's milk, but there is simply this lactose intolerance that is kind of restricting them. So I think here we can supply an experience that also gives to these consumer groups a similar joy.
Yeah, considering the type of raw material that you're using, peas, I can help but think that it's also a very sustainable method of producing this product.
Peas is an interesting legume to grow in Europe, also in Northern Europe. And now we are also looking into that of what is our implication with producing this product. But the benefits are there is way less fertilizer to be used. And this also has an impact of less groundwater pollution. At the same time, when you grow peas, you get really a lot of micro bacteria into the ground. This means you get a soil that is enriched after when you do a pea crop rotation. So afterwards, you could plant, let's say, winter wheat with a better nutritional profile into this wheat. So there is several benefits that we can get out of growing the peas. When we do a season, we use roughly 100 days to grow them, then we can harvest them. At the same time, what is also important, there is biodiversity. So when we grow peas, we have positive impact on bees and some small mammals, etc. So it is important that also the actual part of growing our main crop is also sustainable.
That sounds like a great insight into the whole primary production process. What do the farmers think about how their products are used?
So conversations with the farmers show that this is now really an interesting period, as also they are looking into the future and thinking about how can we make our, let's say, yearly plannings to grow different types of vegetables and so on sustainable. How can we improve our soil? And they're also affected by this type of questions. And for sure also to start these conversations and speak about, okay, how is it when we also add peas to your yearly planning? What would be the implication and how can we start to bring this up together? This is now also really opportunistic.
It seems like a win-win situation, not just for the farmers, but also for the environment, because when you use this as milk, that also means that you are rid of the animals that produce the milk, and the carbon footprint that they create. What is your take on that?
It was not necessarily our aim to replace a cow's milk or kind of find another option to supply this. But it is fair to say that, what you mentioned in terms of what is the impact to produce our product and so on, then I believe it is simply quite efficient to make our product also compared to when you see, but what is necessary to produce cow's milk. By myself, I have more economical and financial background, and so we're always driven to optimize things. And I think also the dairy industry is quite efficient and optimized. But when you think that we import every year roughly 14 million tons of soybeans to feed our animals and to produce cow's milk, and when we also have the option to do that directly with growing something in Europe and make a different product out of it, then again, my economic side comes one more time in place, and I think when we can make it directly from a vegetable and don't have to feed an animal first to actually get the milk out of there, then I think this has an interesting base actually to be looking into. What doesn't necessarily mean that people that like cow's milk cannot consume that anymore.
The big question is, does it taste like milk, cow's milk?
It doesn't necessarily like cow's milk. It is a plant-based product, and we also wish to give this experience to the people that they also recognize this is from a plant and not from an animal. But some feedback we received so far also showcased us that a certain group of people think it is much more similar to a cow's milk than a plant-based milk.
Currently, you have 4 variants of your product. One that is with vanilla, the other with chocolate, the other is natural form, and then you have another interesting one called Barista. Can you tell us a little bit more about these 4 products that you have on the shelves?
That is right. We started now with 4 different versions of our dairy alternative. The 3 you mentioned, like the original, which is a neutral version, as well as vanilla and chocolate, is really based on that we can supply a lot of protein and really a lot of healthy nutrients, and really a good product that can be consumed on a daily basis. At the same time, also Professor Mosin has Italian roots, and in Italy, coffee is really important and a big tradition. So it was kind of his main intent also to develop this so-called barista version that is really suitable for like any coffee beverage or any beverage you would like to have some good foamed up alternative that you then can use.
Is that the most popular product?
So far, it is the most selling and the most popular product. It seems to be perceived quite good by the consumers. What we also identified there is that our barista version creates really a lot of foam that really fits all this type of coffee beverages, that is also really helping the consumers to prepare their different types of beverages.
The good thing about introducing pea as a milk alternative is that the consumer already has been exposed to other options, only that this one is not only allergen-free but also filled with nutrition, which I think is important for especially those vegans who may be lacking certain proteins in their diet. Are you thinking of other products that could be made from peas that you're going to offer the market?
So it was really interesting for us to bring this product into the market and also to get the feedback of how it is perceived. And being in this learning curve, we now also identified other interesting opportunities. That is for us mainly around what is made today out of a cow's milk, and we also can offer from a plant-based side. You mentioned all these different allergens and intolerances that people can consume this as well. So now we are looking into yogurts and ice creams, and also high protein drinks that maybe is more for people that like to do sports and building muscles. and so on. So we believe we are mainly in that sphere. We are not looking, let's say, into meat or this direction, but much more like what is today made out of milk, and what can we offer there as well.
So at the moment you're staying within the beverage liquid category, and then slowly seeking out what market opportunities there are.
But we are also listening on the consumer feedback and what they're telling us. So we also hear time to time they wish a creamer, a plant-based creamer. And also taking into account such feedbacks, then for sure we try to also implement this within our strategy for the next products.
Yeah. And which markets are you looking into?
So we started in Germany this year. And as a first focus for the company, we also have set out Germany. But for the future, we are looking what is close by Germany. That could be Switzerland or Austria, or also how is our product and brand perceived more towards the Nordics. So we believe around Germany, we also see then potential to also launch our products within the upcoming months and years.
And your immediate next steps? What is going to happen with Nature Foods and some of your products in the next 6 months?
So as we launched last spring, we also received some feedback and want to do a small adjustment of how we scale our product. So we will have some tweaking in the dairy alternative. This will be the focus also for the beginning of the next year. At the same time, we try to reach additional shelf space so that we can make the product available in more regions in Germany of what we have today. And after accomplishing these goals, then we like to add one of the new products that might be yogurts or maybe the ice cream, whereas we see now really good feedback on the yogurts, and when also the situation with COVID allows, we believe we are good to go by next summer, early autumn to launch one of the new products to the market.
And can I buy the products online, or is it more on the physical retail space?
Right now we have more of a German focus in terms of retail side and also on the e-commerce side. We always try to adjust that also, or we are now working on a project, how can we make the product more available towards Europe on an initial phase, and we are also looking into Amazon, whether we can also launch on that platform, and we are also trying to get into bigger cities, maybe with some initial small stores that we can make it more available. And for sure now with the opportunity of being hosted in Denmark, we're also looking into this market, whether we can get some shelf space and also some initial traction in this market. It was a nice experience to get some different types of feedback now about our product and how is it perceived. And we also want to take it from there and start to think about how can we bring happy into Denmark.
That sounds like a really good plan. And your brand is called Happy. And, Denmark is one of the happiest countries in the world. And I think that it can only get happier with your product in the market. So if you're interested, you can go to happea.com and read more about the products.
I think that is a perfect match, and when we can do something to make Denmark even happier, we are happy to do that.
Yeah.
And one more time, thank you so much for hosting us, and it was a huge pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Bye, Chris.
Bye. You're listening to Business in Balance with Nature. This podcast is brought to you by Business Falster. My name is Chris, and I'm your host.